Today, it's been 2 years of war on Gaza. Thousands of Palestinians lost their life, millions displaced. But the real loser of this war is the West. The West didn't just lose its credibility, but also integrity and the right to preach democratic ideals. Yes, I'm aware that about 151 nations in a landmark turn of events officially recognized Palestine as a sovereign state, but to me, it feels too little too late. Now, despite widespread international support for Palestinian self-determination, the Western world seems complicit in a genocide. Since the conflict started, Gaza has seen more than 70,000 tons of bombs dropped over it. This is more than 6 times the size of the Hiroshima bomb. As of now, over 66,000 Palestinian lives have been lost. For many in the West, October 7, 2023 is where the history of this conflict begins. A war that for most of the world stretches back not just 2 years, but over 7 decades. The West's selective memory of the conflict overlooks decades of Palestinian suffering, decades of occupation, oppression, and displacement. Up until recent months, the outcries for the deaths and disappearances of innocent families in Gaza have been a missing page in the books of the sensitized West. The condemnation for the lives lost in airstrikes, planned starvation, attacks on hospitals, erasure of 78% of Gaza's buildings, the killing of children in schools, or journalists and health workers came very late. The response seems almost conditional at this point. As the Israel-Gaza war spreads into neighboring countries, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan, instability and a growing refugee crisis have worsened this humanitarian disaster. Yet in the West, Israel's military actions, especially its expansion into Lebanon and Gaza, have been largely viewed as self-defense, with little attention given to the escalation or regional impact. This is where the double standard becomes undeniable. In a striking contradiction of their own values, European and American governments have continued to supply arms, fund military operations, and justify Israeli airstrikes under the guise of self-defense. Between 2020 and 2024, Israel became the world's 15th largest importer of arms. A staggering 66% of these weapons came from the United States. In the same period, Germany accounted for 33% of Israel's imports of major conventional arms. Italy still produces parts of F-35 combat aircraft, which has helped Israel to carry out violations of international humanitarian law in Gaza. In 2024, the UK approved licenses for exports of military goods to Israel worth $170.8 million. In 2025 alone, the US authorized sales of billions of dollars worth of bombs, warheads, and bulldozers to Israel, tools that have been used in this relentless war. All the while claiming to uphold the values of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, principles that have seemingly been abandoned when it comes to Israel's treatment of Palestinians and its actions in Gaza. It's a hypocrisy that is staggering. In every other context, Western governments would call for sanctions or diplomatic isolation of a country that has flouted international law to this extent. The 2023 to 2025 Israel-Gaza conflict revealed the growing tension between freedom of speech and governmental or institutional control over political expression. In both the United States and Europe, social media platforms, university institutions like Harvard and Columbia University had prolonged crackdowns, and public spaces saw increasing censorships and curbs on the speaking out against Israeli actions. A leaked conversation revealed Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claiming a close relationship with Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, suggesting they were willing to help restrict pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel content on their platforms. This highlighted the influence of Silicon Valley tech leaders on global information, especially amid rising protests and social media support for the Palestinian rights. Following the October 2023 escalation, X, formerly known as Twitter, faced criticism for censoring pro-Palestinian content, with many users reporting suspended accounts and deleted posts that highlighted Gaza's humanitarian crisis. Similarly, TikTok was accused of downranking or removing videos critical of Israel, while content supporting Israeli actions received more visibility. Activists claim their posts focused on humanitarian issues were unfairly flagged or deleted. These incidents reflect a wider struggle over the balance of power between state interests corporate influence, and the rights of individuals to express their views on global conflicts, particularly when human rights are at stake. The double standard is no longer just a theory. It's a glaring injustice. 2 years after the worst crisis of the 21st century, peace talks are finally progressing, but it has left us thinking that the West must confront the truth. Its alliance with Israel has compromised its moral integrity.